Welcome back to the Eric Krown Crypto channel. Once again, coming at you from beautiful and sunny Greece in the background here. Probably can't see it, but doesn't matter because we got more important things to be talking about with the old magic internet monies as we get into the weekly closure for CME. Follow up on the short-term time frame signals, of which we did play out the short-term time frame hidden bearish divergence that we were looking for to 18,500, but still back in the same range. So I wanted to follow up on that. Also, some higher-term time frame closures. And other than that, I wanted to let you know, I wanted to subtly show perhaps my Instagram has been uploading a lot of trading related content, a lot of Greece related content, and a lot of Bitcoin related content as well. Other than that, Bybit's got a pretty good promotion going on right now with 0% on maker fees for both spot and derivatives orders, with the link in the description below as well. All right, sweet. Let's just jump into it right now. Let's waste no more time and start it off right over here with the 4-hour time frame. So this is the same chart that we were looking at yesterday, basically. And so yesterday we were back on over here, and we were saying that, hey, any sort of a closure below about 19,150, and I would be looking for a move all the way back down to the bottom side of the short-term time frame range at 18.5. We did get that, however, no break below the range lows, so the range essentially continues. And we basically have the same sort of setup today yet again, with any sort of with essentially a tightening range. So when we have a tightening range, that means that a breakout is very likely to occur, and we can come up with some nice pivot points in this case. So to the upside, it is the same thing as yesterday, like literally the same thing. Any sort of a closure, even on a 2-hour time frame, back above about 19,675. And yes, I would be looking for Bitcoin to mount an assault into the shallow, maybe even mid $20,000 territory, at least $20,000, perhaps even all the way up to $20,550 if that were to happen. By the same token, just like yesterday, although slightly different numbers here, if we see any sort of a closure, even on a full, let me actually go to a 2-hour time frame right here. Yeah, even on a 2-hour time frame, maybe even on an hourly as well. Hourly probably does it as well, below $19,000, and I would be looking for yet another move back down to the bottom side of this range. Same exact move as yesterday. And then yes, if Bitcoin were to close a 4-hour time frame below the low side of 18,500, sorry, lacking sleep right here, then I would be looking for a move all the way down to about, there actually would be a bit of a measure move to be made on this one, and that would be, oh Jesus, that would be my issues because I can't actually draw, and that would be a targeted region somewhere between about 17.5 to 17.8 or so. I would be very cautious of moves happening like this over the weekend. I'm always very distrustful of moves like this over the weekend, but if we were to check out stochastic momentum on the short-term time frame, started off over here with the 6-hour time frame, we will notice that the 6-hour will turn to the downside below 19,300. If we go to the 4-hour, it will also be turning to the downside below basically 18,950. It's kind of in the same area. And then the hourly is also kind of flippy-floppy here, but technically down below 19,300. So as long as Bitcoin maintains above those pivots, probably one more try around the morning highs here, or at least the morning highs for us in Greece at 19.3, 19.4 region. But ultimately, I don't really think that there's, or at least I'm not too motivated by weekend price action as usual. The fun stuff is on the higher term time frame. So let's start it off here with the daily for stochastic momentum. On spot price action, any sort of a closure today below that same 19,350 pivot or so, and momentum remains to the downside. If we go over here to CME, what I think is rather interesting is that the daily is going to open up likely with downside momentum as long as Bitcoin's below 19,420. Great number right there, actually. And so that is to say that if we do start to see Bitcoin march back above there by the time that CME opens on Sunday, we're probably going to see an upside resolution of that range if that were to occur. Of course, as of where CME closed, that was 18,745. So right now, not very likely, obviously. And what was also interesting was the weekly closure for CME. Now, again, weekly already closed for CME yesterday, and it did remain below the weekly stochastic momentum pivot. Again, we're in extreme critical zones right here. So it is kind of, it's difficult to keep up momentum in this case. But hey, it will open up to the downside coming into, well, Sunday, Monday, essentially, because it did close below about $1,000 below, actually, the momentum pivot at 19,875. So assuming that Bitcoin spot doesn't rally above there by, Sunday open, yeah, we're probably going to see one more drive to the downside. So you can kind of see the dichotomy between these major numbers coming in, not necessarily super relevant for today unless there's like a major move, more or less for tomorrow, essentially. And as long as Bitcoin's below these pivots, well, I still look at it as more likely to trade back to the downside of the range at least, maybe even have an actual breakout to the downside. Other than that, I wanted to now follow up on two other things. One of them was not covered in yesterday's regular video. It was covered in a shorts video, and that was this. That was the Dixie chart on the weekly. And we were saying, hey, if Dixie closes above about 111, or I don't think this was actually a chart for it, but whatever, this one will work as well. If Dixie closes above about 111, which it certainly did, it closed actually at 113 and a quarter almost, we would be looking for a major continuation. It's going to fight off the hidden bearish divergence over here. And then, of course, we are looking for, based off of that, a move towards the 115 to 115 and a half region. And, of course, keeping in mind that the monthly closure is coming in relatively soon here, there's probably going to be some pullbacks around that region, 115 to 118 or so. But ultimately, long term, I still stick with what I've been saying for a while now. All the way back on over here. It's probably going to go to 120, assuming that the monthly closure closes somewhere around here, because the quarterly is going to be closing next week. And the quarterly is pretty fucking strong here. So probably looking for 120, maybe even more coming into next year. But that's going to take a long time, obviously. It's a quarterly. Anyways, what I wanted to now follow up on was the other major closure that we were looking for yesterday, which was the 2-day time frame chart for spot price action. Let me make sure that this is the correct one. Okay. Yes, indeed it is. Sweet. And so the 2-day closed last night, and it did close yet again below the stochastic momentum pivot. So first and foremost, as always, let me explain this signal for the millionth fucking time, and that is 2-day BBWP, which is essentially just a volatility measurement, which measures the dispersion of returns getting down to extreme lows, which are defined as, on this time frame, 10 percentile or lower. And we've seen many iterations in the past 4 to 5 years here. And of those past 4 to 5 years, from those extreme lows, we've seen an average move of about 35% done over the course of 2.5 weeks from signal given. And the first standard deviation for those results, which represents where we expect about 68% of the results to fall between, would be between about 25.5% all the way up to almost 44%. So as of right now, momentum remains to the downside. Guess where? Below the same daily pivot as CME, actually, which is 19,350. That is to say that if Bitcoin fails to break above the range highs, to the upside, of course, in this case, then momentum remains to the downside, and these statistics apply to the downside more likely. We're talking about statistics and probabilities, not certainties. There's none of that in trading as far as I'm concerned, or as far as I'm aware, after doing this for more than 10 years. We can see that the stochastic direction, however, has been accurate in predicting the direction of the volatility expansion for 84.5% of the time almost, which pretty fucking good. So I like those probabilities, obviously, but again, these are not the same things as certainties, which I think most people understand. But for people who haven't taken like a statistics course or just aren't familiar with this stuff, like 84%, not the same thing as 100%. Anyways, in this case, this signal is confirmed as long as the 2-day BBWP maintains a positive slope above the moving average, which also has a positive slope, which fired off back here. And from that signal given, we've seen thus far about a 11% move, which is decent, definitely, but that's not anywhere near the first deviation, which again is where we expect 60% of the results to kind of fall between. So if we were to see this move fully expand and go for even the lower end of the first deviation, that 25% would put Bitcoin basically in like the mid 15s, let's just say a range between 15 to 16 or so. If it were to go for the 44%, that would put it somewhere around like 12 or so. And if we were to go for the average move of about 35%, that would put it, I think, at around 14.5-ish. Anyways, the average days taken on this signal from the signal given, well, we've already eaten up about 8. Hold on, let me just zero in on this right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 8 days. We're working on day number 8 here. So we're about halfway through, actually not even halfway through, a little bit less than halfway through what we expect for the average days taken granted this signal. So if this one is going to continue, we expect it to continue next week, actually. Here's the thing, though. If you do see Bitcoin on even the short-term time frames here, let me go back to the chart that we're looking at. Even on the short-term time frames, pop back above that range highs, this is going to be a fucking massive, well, I wouldn't say a massive trap, but it's going to be a great medium-term trap with very likely a move back up towards 20,550. Then I want to come back to it after that before kind of, talking about further price action. But other than that, I think that's a good place to be leaving off on this particular video. I want to once again remind myself to say that, we're here in Greece. We're kind of away from the old internet. I say that there's a lot of people messaging and emailing and whatnot. I'm trying my best to get back to everyone, but it's very difficult right now, I'll say. I'm trying my best, but please do understand, we are limited right now, and we'll be back next week. Then we actually move, so it's going to take some time a little bit here, but please bear with us. Hope that we've, done, our best job here. And other than that, I want to wish you the best as always. Take care, much love. And by the way, met Elliot from Elio Trades yesterday. Fucking love the guy. Amazing in real life. Also amazing, on the internet as well. But first time meeting him in real life, just absolutely stellar guy. Fucking enjoyed the shit out of it. Very, very special. And with that said, much love to everyone out there. Take care and see you hopefully soon.